Welcome, guys, to a spoiler review of Better Call Saul Rico. Now, tonight's episode, excuse me if I'm... I think I'm getting sick. It's not good. Damn it. Sympathize with me. And that's exactly what we got in this episode. I really feel sympathetic to Saul. If you saw my other review, my non-spoiler review, I think tonight's episode really was just us really, if you weren't on board before, now you're on board. Because Saul is such a, he fights for you. He's a sympathetic, tragic character. And I really like Saul, indeed. Just the gist of it, we see Saul pretty much finding irregularities between, with his clients, the old people basically in the old folks home. And he sees all these statements that they're paying for the old folks home. And they're seeing, he thinks it's definitely fraud. They're definitely, the old folks home is definitely taking more than they should, a lot more, and overcharging a lot of these residents. So a lot of frauderies going on, and Saul's not going to take it. Damn it, Saul's not going to take it. We also see Chuck. Last episode he gave him a bunch of paperwork. He said, "I'm just gonna leave it here for now. I'll get done with it." And it was a ploy, pretty much, for Chuck. It was a bait. Chuck's getting his groove back. Chuck is getting his groove back. You get your groove back, Chuck. And then we also see Mike definitely spending time with his granddaughter, but the money has not been coming in. So I'm gonna just touch on Mike's situation real quick because it definitely wasn't the focus of this episode. Mike pretty much being asked by his daughter-in-law to watch, his granddaughter. He does that. And then his daughter-in-law pretty much taking that dirty money, so to speak, and saying, can I spend this? Should I spend this? I mean, I don't know what to do. It would really help, financially. I'm struggling. So... See, I don't, when I saw that, I was like, damn, I mean, sure, her husband died over this money. And I know you're struggling, but morally, I will not take that. I mean, that's somebody that you cared about so much just died over it. But financially, I can see why. She says, well, he died over it. I better use it. I better take care of my girl. But I don't know. It just came rubbed off the wrong way, honestly, when she said, "Can I spend it?" And then she leads Mike to. She says something after that. She says, it's gonna help a little bit, like something a drop in the bucket. So she has a lot of debt, and Mike wants to be able to financially support her and her daughter because that's his son's wife and his child. So. And we all know Mike's story. We know it from Breaking Bad. If you've seen it, that's exactly what his number one priority is, to get these two financially set. But how much of a rift between him and his daughter-in-law happens throughout the course, we'll see. Now, that's it for Mike's situation. We'll see next week him start putting in the team, probably a heist going on. It was all about Saul. It was all about the Saul and brotherly love. I absolutely loved how Saul and Chuck were working together in this episode. But before that, we saw a flashback. And we saw, Saul working in the mailroom of the firm. And he passed, man. That's how he became a lawyer. This is like when he passed the test to become, where he needs to be, a lawyer and this and that in law. And he wanted to work at the firm, but of course Chuck says, I had to talk to everybody else about it. And I believe his name is Howard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Howard. It's that one, the one asshole who pretty much, he tries to play off like, he's a gentleman and stuff. He's the boss of Kim. I think it's Howard, though. Him and Howard have a little chat in the room after, Saul celebrating with Kim and everybody else. And pretty much tells him, it's a no-go, buddy. You can't work at this firm. Maybe later on, but no. So that's why Saul dislikes this guy so much, because Howard's a dick. I think we all knew that. And then it was nice to see that Saul and Kim really did have a relationship. She kisses him and this and that. She really does root for him. And then she roots for him. She believes in him and, you know, owes him a favor, but she really does anything for Saul. And you saw that when Saul needed paperwork and she got it for him, like 400 pages or $400 worth of paperwork. Insane. Thousand like copies of stuff. Insane stuff. But before we get to that, I also like the interaction between excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm just dying here. But yeah, the interaction between, I love the dumpster scene. The dumpsters. This is how sympathetic Saul is, man, and this is how great the comedy is in the show. I was laughing quite a bit. I was like, wow, because some of the stuff, you know, Saul hitting his head, Saul kicking it and falling, and then right next to it is the recycling bin, and that's where all the little paperwork was, the shredded paperwork that the little assistant chick from the old folks home was shredded and like threw away. And it's paperwork that the old folks home does not want Saul or anybody else to see, and that's, you know, fraudery. It's fraudery all over the place. But that dumpster scene was pretty funny. You know, he's going in there, he's talking to the main guy, and he's like, I'm in opera. That's why I'm whispering. So that was pretty funny. And then, you know, seeing all the little paperwork next to him in that recycling bin. That was, like I said, it was very funny, and I thought it was really. I've seen it. I think we've seen it a couple times. I've seen, you know, if you watch TV and, you know, movies so many times, there's always that dumpster scene. Look at Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of my favorite dumpster scenes with Charlie and Danny DeVito. But this one was pretty. Yeah, I liked how they wrote it and how comical execution was well done. So Saul working on trying to get all those paper little shreds back together, and he couldn't even complete really one at one night. But what does Chuck do? Completes like fucking 4. Because it's Chuck, man. Chuck's a badass. And I really, like I said, I really like these two working together. I mean, you can see Chuck is getting better. You saw it in the beginning of the episode that Chuck was getting better. He was going through light a little bit more. You saw he wasn't, you know, in his blanket, his space blanket. And he really, and then of course doing all that paperwork, he finished all that paperwork for Saul, and then Saul really saying, I really love the moment where he said, okay, let's do this thing, and then Saul's like, us, and, you know, they partner up, and I really enjoyed that. I really thought that was a great moment between the two. So, you know, and then Chuck getting back in the game, you know, and then having that meeting when Saul was really just talking most of the time against the guy who was committing fraud. And, you know, the guy throwing out a number, then Saul's such a great lawyer. He is a fantastic, you know, he knows the legal and this and that. He knows the loops. He's very smart. So him going back and forth with him, the guy who they're going against, was very entertaining to watch, because Chuck straight out, you know, the guy says, give me a moment. How much are you asking for? And then the only time Chuck speaks, 20 million. 20 million buckaroos, or we'll see your ass in court. Damn, man, it's good. It's great to see Chuck coming back, and definitely him getting more paperwork from Saul, and then stepping outside at the end and getting all the paperwork from the car. Was great to see Chuck back in the, you know, groove. I want to see Chuck back in this. I want to see Chuck back in the firm. It's probably not going to happen towards the end of the season, but I really like the dynamic duo of Chuck and Saul. And, you know, Saul, he's great at what, you know, he's the up-and-comer. He's the young buck. But, you know, Chuck still knows a lot more shit. He's like a legend, like he says. He's like, you know, the Bulls against the Pistons. That was a great, you know, use of words. And it's great that Saul throws out all... He's so charismatic that the guy's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? But Saul's so charismatic. He's definitely my kind of lawyer. That's why he's on TV. So, yeah, great episode, solid episode. Like I said in my last review, absolutely love the use of music in this, of sound, definitely of sound, the little things, especially with the when Saul and Howard were talking while, you know, eating his cake, and all you hear is the fax machine. Absolute little thing, but absolutely love the use of sound on that, because we didn't have to hear the dialogue. We knew exactly what was going down anyway. Overall, just a great, solid, you know, episode. I was entertained. I'm never not entertained. It's like Empire, man. Empire always entertained me. With Empire, there's always twist and shock. With Saul, you don't need twist and shock. There's always character development, and there's always, things going. Not in the beginning. Not in the beginning. There wasn't a huge play. It was more like cameos type stuff. But now that we got the ball rolling, now we see Saul really come into his own, and I think we're seeing these characters. It's definitely a character-driven show as well. We want to root for these characters. We want Chuck to get better. We want Saul to, he's a sympathetic character. We want him to succeed. We like him. We don't like Howard. So it's great. It's great. I thought this episode was another just entertaining. The writers definitely know how to use comedy balanced with drama really well. It's more comedy than anything, but it's a darker kind of comedy. So it's funny. It's very funny. It's very comedic, especially with Bob playing Saul. So great stuff. That's all I really got to say, man. That's all I really got to say. I think tonight's episode was a great, solid one again. And we have 2 more episodes left, and I cannot wait for the last 2. Everything's coming to a close. We have Walking Dead coming to a close. We have Saul coming to a close. So I'm going to miss these shows dearly. We already have Empire come to a close. Man, what am I going to watch? I'm going to watch The League. That's what I'm going to watch. So thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe. Please like. Sorry I'm coughing all over the place. It sucks too, because if you guys been with me since day one, since the beginning of New Year's, I had that huge bad cough, and I was coughing for like 3 months, and now I stopped, and now I'm back. So, oh man, yeah, it's all downhill. Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you guys for listening. Let me know your thoughts on Saul. This is a spoiler review, so let me know. All right, guys.